Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I am going to go through every single book series that I am in the midst of, whether there's more books to come or I've just not finished the completed series yet, and I'm going to tell you whether or not I plan to finish them. There is a lot that I have on the go, like a lot, so this is probably going to be a long video, so grab a snack and a drink and let's get into it. The first series I want to talk about is Daughter of No Worlds. If you've seen either of my recent videos, then you might know that the first book has recently been a reread for me, because when I first read it, I didn't love it. But for the 2 years after that, I kept thinking about the main characters. So I decided to reread book 1 and go on to book 2 to see if I enjoy it more the second time around. I'm here to let you know that I have a DNF to the second book on my reread. I just found it painfully slow, to the point where it didn't matter how much I loved the characters. I was just not invested in the story or the plot. So that is the first series that I will not be continuing, sadly. Another series I have on a go, which is a completely different genre, is the Playing for Keeps series by Becca Mack. These are hockey romances that I have read since book 1 was indie published and I got it as an ARC. At this point, I am so invested in the friendship group that I absolutely have to continue and read anything she puts out in this series. It could be a whole book on Jackson's cat and I would still read it. Plus, it does help that the next book is Kara's story, which I'm so excited about because she is hilarious. So I absolutely cannot wait to continue this series. Another book I've spoken about recently is Legendborn. I have just read book 1 and finally gone on to book 2. So yes, I will be continuing that series. I think this is YA fantasy at its peak. It is so unique. Even though it's an Arthurian retelling, it feels so fresh and unique and different. Bree is such an interesting character and there are so many important and nuanced themes throughout the series. I'm also just really invested in the characters. I feel like you can probably guess my preference on Nick and Selwyn. I feel like my vibe specifically matches one of those characters, so comment below if you think I'm a Selwyn or a Nick girly. Then we have Elle Kennedy's series, which is book 1 is The Graham Effect. I think the series name is The College Diaries. I will be continuing this. The Charlie Method just released and that is where I'm up to. I am going to give it a go. I have recently seen some not so great reviews from very trusted mutuals, so I'm intrigued to see what I think, but it's very rare for me that Elle Kennedy does not deliver, so I feel like even if this book is a dud, the next few will be good again, or enjoyable at the very least. Then we have the Crowns of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent. I have read A Serpent and the Wings of the Night and then the novella, but I have not got any further. I will be continuing this. I've been putting it off because I've heard such mixed things on book 2, but I know that then people enjoyed book 3 again, so I know at some point I'm going to try and read it. Hopefully I will enjoy it and I won't be one of the people that finds it slow or boring, but either way I'm going to give it a go because I did absolutely love book 1. It was one of the few romantasies that I read in 2024 that delivered for me. The Twin Crowns series by Catherine Webber and Kat Doyle. Absolutely yes. I have read book 1 and book 2 and I've started book 3, but I came away from it to read some arcs, but I 100% will be reading this. I will be finishing the trilogy and I will enjoy it. I know I will because I loved book 1 and book 2. I also know that there's a spin-off coming about one of the characters, which I'm super excited for, and I'm going to read that too. This series, if you've not read it, is again like YA at its finest. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's funny. There's really intriguing characters and villains especially. It's just such a good one. Definitely give it a go if you haven't already. The Poppy War series. I have read The Poppy War, loved. I have read The Dragon Republic, also loved. But then I saw a spoiler for Burning Gods. And that's why I've not gone on to it yet. I will go on to it at some point, don't get me wrong. I'm going to finish the series. I need to know absolutely everything, but I do know how the book ends and the fates of some of the characters, which has just kind of like made it a bit of a letdown for me. Now I know what happens, and I really didn't want to know what happens, and I just saw a spoiler with no spoiler warning on TikTok. Hate when people do that. But yeah, I will be continuing, but I'm sad about that scenario. Love Light Farms. Now this is one I'm unsure of. Book 1 in the Love Light Farms series I absolutely loved. It was one of my favourite romances of that year. I think it was 2023, and I just love her writing style. It really reminds me of Ali Hazelwood, who is probably one of my all-time favourite authors, not just in romance. But then I went on to book 2, is it In the Weeds? Into the Weeds? That one anyway. I didn't love that one. It was good, don't get me wrong, but I didn't love it. And I haven't seen anyone raving about the next 2 books in the series as well. So I haven't decided if I'm going to continue. If there's a point where I'm slumpy or if I don't know what to read, maybe I'll go back to it. But as it stands right now, it's not that high on my TBR. The Stolen Heir. I don't know what the series name is of this. I'm assuming it's not Folk of the Air still. But this duology by Holly Black, of course I'm going to finish it and read The Prisoner's Throne. The only reason I haven't read it yet is because I want to do a full reread from Cruel Prince, then into Stolen Heir before I do Prisoner's Throne. Just because there's so much political intrigue in Holly Black's world that I have forgotten about, and I want it all to be refreshed in my mind. It's been about 4 years since I read the Cruel Prince series, and I want Cardan and Jude to be fresh in my head before I read Prisoner's Throne, because I know there is quite possibly going to be some little appearances. Also, I think we're getting a spin-off series about Cardan. I'm pretty sure Holly Black did a video interview confirming that. Who is excited about that? Because I am. Then we have Prickle Island Zoo series, which if you don't know is a contemporary romance series by Ali K. Mulford, also known as A.K. Mulford. They used to write, or they still write, romantasy, but then they also started to write contemporary romance, and that is their contemporary romance series. I have read books 1 to 3 in this. Absolutely love, especially book 2. Book 2 is my favourite. The love interest gives Anthony from Bridgerton vibes. Basically, it's this family that owns a zoo on an island, and so each book follows a different family member. And like I said, book 2 is the eldest brother, so that's why it gives Anthony Bridgerton vibes. But it's a really fun series. Like, the zoo setting just adds so much lightness and humour. I am an animal lover though, so maybe I'm biased. But I will be continuing this series. I actually just received the arc of the 4th book, which focuses on one of the characters, Dove, her name is. So I do want to read that soon. Again, I've just not had time recently with other arcs and things that I've had as well. But I will be continuing and finishing this series. Then we have the Age of Vampires series, and this is a completed book series of 6 books by the Twisted Sisters, who wrote Zodiac Academy. It is NA new adult with vampires and vampire slayers, like a gritty dystopian world. It has spice. It's just great. I've read the first 2 books out of the 6. I will 100% be continuing with this. I'm just waiting until... I don't actually know what I'm waiting for. I just think I haven't had chance, or it's not been at my priority, but the first 2 books were really high ratings for me. The love interest, one of the love interests specifically, is right up my street. Like, I love him. I'm dying to get back into that world and see where the romantic relationship goes, because as we know, the Twisted Sisters can throw us curveballs and cliffhangers, and I'm ready to have a series like Zodiac Academy again that consumes my entire being. The Heartless Hunter duology. I am, of course, going to read book 2 and finish this. It's only a duology and I loved book 1, so why wouldn't I finish it? I'm super excited. It's obviously released now. I'm ready to get into it. I'm probably going to have it on next month's TBR. I've seen so many people give this 5 stars. I literally can't wait to get into it. But I do want to do a quick reread, or even just a reread of the ending of Crimson Moth, because it's not too fresh in my memory at the moment. And I want to make sure I remember every little detail when I go on to book 2. A Fire in the Sky by Sophie Jordan. I'm presuming that this is going to be a series. She has a prequel series as well that I also want to read, but I will be continuing this if it does become a series. Book one was so promising. It was full of action. The romantic tension was great. I love anything with dragons in. I just can't wait to see what else this author does, and I can't wait to read the prequel series as well. I brought it when it was on sale on TikTok Shop, but I have not had a chance to start it yet, so we'll see how that goes. But at the minute, I can't see myself not wanting to read the continuation of A Fire in the Sky should we get it. Phantasma. I am in two minds about this one. Not because I didn't love book one, I did. It was a 4.5 star rating for me. I know a lot of people don't love it, but I just thought it was really fun, really fast paced, pulled me out of a bit of a slump because it was so addictive. Kind of feels like if you mix the Saw films with any other romantasy book, or maybe specifically Caraval. But like Caraval, I know that book two is not going to be the same POV. It's going to follow her sister instead. And I'm not sure about that because I didn't love her sister in book one. I actually found her quite frustrating. And when that happened in Caraval, I ended up hating books 2 and 3. So I really can't decide if I'm going to continue and read Enchantra. It will probably be a decision where I wait and see what the reviews are like and then decide. So yeah, we will see. At the moment, that one is a maybe. For this Poison Heart duology, yes. I will be reading book 2. It's a crime that I haven't gone on to it yet. I don't know why I haven't. I honestly don't know why I haven't gone on to it, but I really need to. I have the book as well, like ready to go. I loved book 1. I think part of me is kind of like saving it for a rainy day because I did enjoy it so much and it was just such a fun, light-hearted, young adult fantasy that I'm really saving it for when I'm in the mood for that. I'm such a mood reader as well, so that really doesn't help situations when it comes to my TBR. But at some point, I definitely will finish this, and I 10 out of 10 recommend if you haven't read it yet and you like Greek mythology and young adult fantasy books. The Infernus duology, again, I spoke about this recently in my underrated romantasy book video, so I'll link that above. But yes, I am going to complete that. I actually just applied for the ARC of the second book. I don't think I've got it, but hey ho, I will be reading it either way when it releases. Again, it was just such a like fast-paced, easy read, so I'm excited to see how it ends in book 2, what the conclusion is and where it goes, particularly as there was one event at the end of book 1 where I was like, oh, that kind of came pretty quickly. I didn't expect that to happen. So I'm intrigued to see where the author takes this book and what else she does. And again, it was just a fun, easy read. I had a good time while I was reading it. There's no reason for me not to give book 2 a go. The Ruinous Love series. Now, I read Butter and Blackbird, loved it so much. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I am not a dark romance girly, but I loved the comedy that was in it. I found it so fun and so chaotic, and the bits that grossed me out, I love anything that gives you a strong reaction, even if it's kind of a negative reaction in some aspects. Like, I was grossed out, but I was having such a good time at the same time because it was so funny. But then book 2, Leather and Lark, I did not enjoy as much. I gave that 3.5 stars. It was missing a lot of the humour for me and the chaos that made book 1 so different and so unique. I just kind of found it a bit of a depressing book almost, so totally a different vibe to book 1. However, I will give book 3 a go. I want to complete it. I want to see what the other brother is like. I want to see where their relationship goes. I know there's a circus element too, which intrigues me. So I'm definitely going to give it a go and see what I think. Hopefully I love this one as much as Butter and Blackbird. First Time Caller. Now, I didn't know this was going to be a series until I saw it on my Goodreads, and in the brackets it said Heartstrings number 1. So I'm assuming she's going to continue this as like interconnected standalones, kind of how she did with Love Light Farms. If that is the case, I will definitely continue. I really enjoyed First Time Caller because it had that 90s nostalgic vibe. Obviously, it's inspired by Sleepless in Seattle, which is a movie that I love, and I definitely feel the connection to that film was strong in the book. I also loved the love interest, Aiden, and similarly with Love Light Farms, that's what I loved so much about book 1. I loved the love interest. I think she writes really great book boyfriends, so I will definitely continue that series and give book 2 a go if she does end up writing more kind of 90s inspired rom-coms. Tales of Weeping Hollow. If you have seen my underrated romantasy book series video, you will know what I think about this book series. It is literally my new obsession. I cannot freaking wait for this series to continue. And so absolutely, yes, 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 I will be continuing it. I need to know every single one of the heathens' stories. I need there to be an overall happy ending to the little world that's been created. I am dying for book 3. Again, the book boyfriends in this series, oh, so good. Julian especially is my absolute love. Something about a toxic, angsty, gothic, brooding love interest, just, it's my favourite. That's my favourite type of love interest in a book. But yes, I am literally frothing at the mouth for the release of the 3rd book. I need it yesterday. So definitely will be continuing the series. I honestly think the next book in the series would have to be problematic for me not to continue on to book 4 as well. The next 2 I'm going to kind of lump together because it's a similar situation with both of them for me, and that is the Black Dagger Brotherhood series and also the Ice Planet Barbarian series. Both series of these have a similar vibe in which it's interconnected standalones that each follow a different couple, but the characters are present in all of the books. I read the first 3 of Ice Planet Barbarians and then I started to get a bit sick of it. And Black Dagger Brotherhood, I've only read the first one, but I can just see that, yes, it was enjoyable and fun, but it's not a series where I'm going to want to read like all 20 books. Like, there's a big investment in these series, and my investment level does not match the amount of books that are in the series. So I probably most likely will not continue either of these series unless I get to the point where I'm in such a bad book slump that I need a monster romance to cure me. In that case, I may go back to Ice Planet Barbarians. The Magnolia Parks universe. Obviously, of course, this series is one of, if not my, all-time favourite romance series. And although I didn't love Into the Dark as much as the previous books, I still overall am very, very, very invested in this series, particularly Daisy's and Julian's storylines, which the next books will be about. There is not a chance in hell that I will not be reading them. You would literally have to confiscate my Kindle and trap me inside my house so that I cannot access a bookstore for me not to read them. That is how much I am excited for them. And I know we will not be getting them for a long time because Jessa has said herself that she is finding Daisy Hates really hard to write because of the amount of trauma that she's putting Daisy through. But nonetheless, I will be reading when it eventually comes out, even if I'm 50 years old. The Plated Prisoner series. Never has there been such a dramatic turn of opinion for me on a book series. Book 1, 2 and 3 I loved, and it was up there with my favourite romantasy series. Book 4 was good, but I was like, it's not as good as the first 3. Book 5, I really didn't enjoy it, guys. It pains me to say that. I just did not enjoy it one bit. There were so many things that happened that I was not interested in, so much focus on characters that I was not interested in. There was nowhere near as much romance. Like, it just did not hit for me. So I sold my physical copies of the books, and I don't think I'm going to read the final book. I'm presuming at the end of the final book that Rip and Oren are going to end up happily ever after together, and that information is enough for me. I don't want to spend money and be disappointed only for to enjoy 5% of it. So unfortunately, that one is going to be a no. The Chestnut Springs series is also going to be a no from me. I know that that is a super unpopular opinion, specifically amongst the romance readers like me, especially romance readers that like cowboy romance like me. I don't know anyone else that loves both of those things and doesn't like Chestnut Springs. I'm the only one I know. However, it was just something about the Spice scenes specifically. I didn't like the way she writes Spice. The overall plot and the characters I could vibe with. There was just something I found a little bit cringy about that series. So I'm not going to be continuing it. I am going to be looking for a new small town or cowboy romance series to sink my teeth into. One I have on my radar is the Catherine Cowles series. I will pop the images above. I'm excited to read those. Hopefully I like those ones. The Sinners series by Sam Sketcher. Again, I am dying for the release of book 4, so yes, I absolutely will be continuing that. Do I expect to love it as much as book 2 and 3, which were about Rafe? No, I think specifically my love for those 2 books were him as a character. Will I still hopefully enjoy it like I enjoyed book 1, which was about the other Visconti brother? Hopefully, yes. Book 2 and 3 were definitely like real good mafia romances for me. Book 1 was very much a palate cleanser, a slump remover, but hopefully book 4 is again that higher tier and I get a really high star rating. We will see, but I'm hopeful that I'm going to love it. So yes, I will be giving it a go when it eventually releases. The Shadows and Crowns series, which book 1 is Song of the Marked, maybe. I absolutely loved book 1, loved it, 4.5 stars, thought it was really nostalgic and familiar, but also still unique and intriguing at the same time. I loved the love interest, Elander, so much. He is just, love him. But when I got to book 3, it started to get really, really slow almost. I don't know if slow is the right word because there was things happening, but I just like lost momentum and connection to it. And I spoke to a couple of other mutuals who also felt the same. So I have been stuck partway through book 3 for about 6 months. So will I pick it back up again and try again and continue the series? I'm not sure. Maybe I will have my curiosity piqued enough at some point to try and give it another go, especially with how much I love him as a love interest. But at the minute, it's just a maybe. And then finally, A Study in Drowning. Absolutely, 1000% yes. The news that this was going to be a series instead of a standalone was the best news of my year. Honestly, that is one of my favourite YA books ever. Probably is my favourite YA standalone. I don't know what it is I love so much about it, but I just think it's really unique and whimsical and eerie and lots of different things all at the same time. It did have a perfect ending, but I am excited to see more of Preston and Effie because there was so much more to the world and their specific stories that you could explore. So I am excited to see how book 2 is. Hopefully it's as good as book 1, but definitely going to give it a go either way. But that is every single book series that I have on the go at the minute, and whether I'm going to continue with them or not. Let me know if there's any book series you think I should start that I've not already read, or what you think of the series that I've got on the go that you've read. Either way, drop me a comment to let me know your thoughts. But otherwise, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will see you next Monday for another video. Love you. Bye.